You said your Kano is your home, yes?
Yes.
So you said they slaughter the animal and you hang it then. I want to follow the process. I interrupted you, sorry for
Yes,
that.
no worries.
I was getting excited because it was a discussion point
Right.
that they said that it's not necessary to soften the meat. It's
It
absolutely
tastes
necessary.
better, a lot better. A lot better. So when the animals are slaughtered, they leave them for a day. At times.
And so,
A day.
so
Just hang it, it
let me
drains.
say yes, you hang it.
They hang it for a day.
Ambient.
Just hang it out.
Ambient.
No temperature. Just hang it out.
Just hang it outside.
Just hang it outside. And they leave it.
And when you say hang it outside, is it out in the open?
Like
It's
an
a
open,
shade.
so no controlled temperature.
No,
It's just
no.
out. It's maybe like a shade.
A shade, or
That's
in a
it.
shade or something like
In
that.
a shade, and they
Okay.
leave it for a day.
Yes.
Sometimes you come back in the morning and you see there'll be flies in it, but they don't.
But the skin is on at the moment.
No skin, no.
Skin is off.
Skin is off.
Okay.
Skin is off, and they leave it there. It just hangs. And they also say it's easier to debone.
Definitely.
It's easier to debone when they take
Yes.
the bones out. It's a lot more easier. It's a lot more easy to separate the fat from the flesh.
But hang on, let's go back now. So after they hanged it out, the animal is in the shed now. 24 hours it hangs. Do you put it in a cold room now or not?
So sometimes, if they don't finish selling it, then they put some of it in a cold room.
Okay.
They do
Okay.
freeze.
Otherwise, now they start deboning it, so the skin is off. The head is off, the intestines are out. Right? They now start deboning it. And after a day, obviously, it's softer.
Softer.
So it's easier to debone. Right? And then what do they debone it into?
So they don't have cuts.
Okay.
Just as you want to. Someone can say, I want 20 rand meat, and they just go, okay, have this cut. And says, oh, this is too little. Okay, I'll give you a bit extra. Take this.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right.
So though there's some people who now sell in some parts per weight. They say, okay, maybe we're selling 3,500 per kilo for, obviously it's been deboned, it's taken out the fat and everything, and they sell that, but not any special cut. It could be any shape, it's just the weight.
Yes.
Not any specific cut.
Okay. Okay. And they just, it hangs on the bone now.
Yeah.
It's hanging and they're cutting from there.
They cut. So sometimes they might have taken it out, you just see a big chunk of meat on the table.
On the table, right?
Yeah, sometimes they've taken it out, sometimes it's just hanging the leg.
Are any of those cuts further processed into salami, sausages,
Mincemeat.
mincemeat?
Yes,
Mincemeat.
sometimes mincemeat, sometimes grounded beef.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's some delicacies that use shredded beef.
Okay.
Yeah,
But the delicacies will come from the preparation of the delicacies. You will now add some vegetables or whatever.
yeah, but you could there's places in the market where you can buy grounded beef, or you take your beef there after you bought it for them to grind it for you.
What do they grind it with?
The machine is
A mincer, a normal mincer.
A normal mincer, yeah,
Normal mincer.
nothing special.
So when you say ground beef, does that just refer to the mincing process?
Yes.
Or does it also refer to a certain spice or something like that?
No, I don't think they don't process like put into spice and then package and sell it. No.
Nothing like that, yeah.
So you just go there, you grind your beef.
And then when they get home, what do they do with it? It's now ground beef.
So
I get home and now what? My family is waiting now.
So some people, there are different delicacies. Some people now put like maybe chilies or the spices and make into some sort of soup. Yeah, I know a Sudanese delicacy, which is like it's a soup, but then there's grounded beef in the soup.
Okay.
So it's just like when you make a beef soup, a corned
Yes.
beef soup.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that goes back to a discussion that we had because there's a lot of people who tell us that Nigerians don't like soft meat.
no,
They want tough, chewy meat because they say, especially poor, they divide it. They say you get poor Nigerians and you get wealthy Nigerians, and poor Nigerians like to chew a long time on
because
the meat.
true, but then they don't know that such meat exists.
Okay.
I mean, meat is still considered a luxury to people.
Yes.
Even in the north, where all of the meat comes from. They rarely eat it.
Really, yeah.
It's very funny in the north. You will rarely find a northerner eating goat meat.
Honestly, yeah.
They don't like it.
Really.
If you see 10 northerners, probably 3 or 4 like goat meat.
That's
7
very
don't.
interesting.
Yeah. And they produce all the goats.
Wow, that's interesting. And I'm fascinated by this process. If of tenderizing it, so they obviously don't put preservatives on the meat when they originally hang it.
They just hang it.
And then at some point they said, now we're going to eat it. We put some spices and stuff on it, and now we're going to eat it. It's at that point when it's nice and soft and juicy and tender.
Yeah. Even especially with the goats. So I've seen some nomadic tribes where they get rice, put it in the belly, stitch it, then poke the goat, bury it in the ground.
Yes.
And grill it for like 5
They
6
make the fire
hours.
on top of it.
So on our farm, I don't have a cauldron. No, I've got exactly the same story what we saw. What I'm doing on the farm.
And you leave the meat for 24 hours.
I leave it for 24 hours. So I start breaking it, and then I put it in bags, and then I put it in the deep freezer. So what I do then, what I noticed. So let's say I shot that animal and I cleaned it, and I immediately start to cut it into the primals, and I put it in bags and I put it in the deep freeze, because I'm going to work it later at home. I'll do it later. The meat was tough.
Okay.
So now I told him, and that was my observation. So now I shoot the same animal, skin it, clean it, leave it overnight.
Yeah.
The next morning, when I break, I can feel already this is much more softer.
It's exactly your observation.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Leave it. But if I shot that animal and cleaned it and just put it like you said in the cauldron, it becomes tough. It's actually, and it is in January in South Africa, it's hot, also 33 degrees. So it was just my observation, and I confirmed with you.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think is the solution going forward if we're going to have to create a place where after the meat is frozen, we can electrocute it?
No, not after it's frozen, after it's killed.
After it's killed?
Yeah, after you slaughtered it, after you took the skin out, you need to electrocute it. If you don't electrocute it, you must leave it a day out.
Yeah, if you're gonna electrocute, that's like Pel does. Electrocute, cauldron.
Yeah, but not the electrocution when you stun the animal.
Yeah,
This is
right.
electrocution post slaughtering. After the head has been removed, the skin is off, then you electrocute. Yeah, all abattoir designers it's standard. It's standard now. Because then you can immediately put it in the world.
That might be something to consider if we're slaughtering in kind of maybe.
It's definitely, if it's possible.
If it's possible, we have
Then
to.
you can do that and put it straight in the fridge. Then from a safety perspective, of course, the world wants to do the safest possible thing. Yeah. So from a microbiological safety perspective, it is the best way of doing it in terms of then you're sure that you control the microorganisms. But I don't like that. I like the fact if you leave it a little bit, and if you even leave it a little bit longer, for the meat to get more tender. Because I'm not scared of the microorganisms. I've looked at this thing very carefully, and the problem with microorganisms, you see one of the things that he observed today, which is a very good observation, is that there on the slabs where they slaughter, there's no stench. There's no stench, right?
Steady cleaning.
Everything is steady clean, but also the environment on our skins, and the animals are the same. There is species of bacteria that's healthy, and they've been living with us for a long time, and we actually can't live without them. So they have all kinds of important functions in protecting us against the outside. And if you cut yourself, that's the organisms that protect you from invasive bacteria. So because of that, dangerous bacteria don't like these. They're not friends. And if there's a big enough colony of these friendly bacteria, then the invasive, the bad bacteria that makes you sick and gives you foodborne diseases and stuff like that, they don't have an opportunity to come in because they're being kept out. So my suspicion is that if we would do microbiological studies, and I would absolutely love to do that at one day, because I think it's a microcosm to study in itself, we will find a lot of very healthy bacteria in that environment and not very dangerous bacteria. Because when I came to Nigeria, one of the things that was surprising to me is that there's so a low prevalence of health-related issues due to meat. Because if everything is true that we're taught about meat from a microbiological perspective, and everything is being done wrong in Nigeria, why is it everything is being done? Why is it still healthy and people don't get sick, and we eat the meat and we don't get sick, and it is the norm is actually not to get sick? You know, why is that the case? It was something that baffled me, and then when I started really looking at this thing, I realized it's because of exactly this. You know, if you put I think it's log 6 or log 8, I forget now which it is. We took, a colleague of mine in South Africa took bone broth. So bone broth spoils very quickly. If you cut the bones, if you take the marrow out, and you make a broth from that, tomorrow it will start going off and it will go sour and you'll find. So what we did then is we put, I think log 6, I'll check with him, of this healthy bacteria inside the broth, and we mixed it. 21 days later, it was still absolutely perfect. We could still eat it. He had some of it. He ate it. Nothing. And it was kept in this temperature at 22 to 26, 27, 28 degrees C environment. And it didn't go bad. And I think it's the same phenomena that we see here. Because one of the things that you start noticing with those bad bacteria is the smell. Pseudomonas is one group of these bacteria, for example, that's often associated with bad hygiene and all these type of things. And so they form like a greeny, slimy thing on the meat, and it becomes, and you can very quickly. Now, one of the things that I couldn't understand, why isn't there more Pseudomonas? Because talk about general hygiene issue, there's not a Shell Ultra City on every major entry point with these white rabbit toilets and stuff that you have in England and America and South Africa, where everybody goes and washes their hands every 5 minutes and anything like that. You think the fact that they're not washing the whole time, so this is a whole mind shift, and to preserve the bacteria is something that I'm getting more and more interested in, and that came from my Nigerian experience, to say, why the hell is people not getting sick from this meat? And so the fact that it's being done on the skin, on the slab, and the skin is there. The skin is done. It means that bacteria is now prevalent, and it's everywhere.